just waiting up for the AMA stage to fill up. Let's do one more minute. All right, cool. Good evening and good morning, Unicorn fam. Welcome to the Hawku Marketplace AMA with Cryptog of Hawku. I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Witty Unicorn. Say hi.
Hi.
This is the Marketplace AMA where you can ask your questions regarding anything and everything about crypto unicorns on the Hawku Marketplace. Let's have Cryptog for some opening remarks. Good morning.
Morning, guys. Hopefully, it's pretty early, 8 a.m. for me here, so hopefully it's a little later for everyone else. Welcome. I'm really glad to be here. Happy to be acting and being, having fun inside the crypto unicorn community. I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview of kind of what Hawku is, where we are, where we're going, and particularly for crypto unicorns. So you guys just have that as a head start, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. Just so you guys know, my name is Charlie, also Cryptog. I'm fully doxxed. You guys can look me up on LinkedIn. But I am the founder and CEO of Hawku, and we are the leading marketplace for utility and gaming NFTs. And so the way I just want to kind of describe how I see the world of NFTs, I describe it into two broad buckets. On one side, you have the art, avatar, and PFP NFTs, and those are kind of your Bored Apes, your art blocks, all the things that you see as Twitter avatars. Those are generally driven by rarity, and like the price and the markets are driven by rarity, floor price, aesthetics, and so forth. And vast majority of NFT marketplaces, you guys know, is kind of dominated by that right now. I think there's this other broad category that everyone here, I think, believes in, which is utility and gaming NFTs. And these NFTs that I've seen are driven, obviously there's some aesthetics, which are really, particularly in crypto unicorns, there's some very cute unicorns, but they're also driven by the data. They're driven by real-time data, stats, things like who they were bred by, what the actual stats are, what in the case of jousting data, what the data win rate would be, things that are changing in real time, things like breeding points, how many breeding points do they have left? What we have seen is most of the marketplaces out there today handle the avatar, the mint data really well. They are not very good at handling the real-time data, in particular updating in real time and summarizing and letting you analyze in real time so you can actually filter and sort in real time. So we have decided to build an entire marketplace to focus on that. We started with being an analytics tool for Zed Run, which is a horse racing game on Polygon. It's actually the leading NFT game on Polygon in terms of marketplace pricing. And we started off doing the analytics, pointing people to OpenSea. We found out that we were driving basically all the traffic to OpenSea from Zed. So we actually just, instead of having people go to OpenSea, we flipped it to our to the Hawku marketplace. And that also not only did people just adapt really quickly, and we're doing the vast majority of all transactions on Zed, but also because we are a marketplace focused on this, we're able to do really interesting things like automatically cancel bids and listings if data's changed, and things like that you cannot do unless you have this real-time data. Just to give you more context, we launched in the end of February for Zed, so we're pretty, we've been doing this for 6 months. We are closing in on our 50,000th transaction, so we're about 48,000 last I checked. We've done well over 5,000 ETH in transactions. Just in terms of, people always want to know about trust. Our company took a $4 million round of funding by some of the top investors. So Lightspeed Venture Partners is our lead. We also have Multicoin Capital, which you guys may know, Dragonfly, Alameda Research, Animoca, and even Zed's parent company invested in us, Solana, and a bunch of really top tier individual investors as well. So part of the reason I wanted to do that is to make sure that we are known and being trustworthy. let's see, just to give you some status for today, the marketplace is live on hawku.com/crypto-unicorns. So you guys can go, if you have not been there, go there and play around. The data for unicorns is auto updating. So the breeding points, the stats, the pictures, the life stages, whether it's locked or unlocked, that should be updating within a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes of when it happens. We also have lock protection in there. So you cannot list if it's locked. If somebody tries to buy a locked one, it cancels listing. We have the capability to auto unlock, to auto cancel the listing, unlock. We have held off, and I'll explain why in a little bit. I think actually on a user experience, we'd like to see how we do without that, because it actually can hurt. It can actually hurt a normal user experience for people. So we think we have there's a lot of locked protections in there. You will not see, locked floor price or low priced, mispriced lands or unicorns lingering around. And then we have a whole bunch of, as you guys can see, stats analysis. We try to aggregate all the different stats so you can actually filter based on total stats or the different types of power score and speed score and so forth. Just to give you kind of heads up on the roadmap, we are probably a week or two away from getting Shadowcorns. The main thing just hindering us is that we want to be able to ingest and show the video. I kind of put the hammer down a little bit to say I don't want to just have an image of a Shadowcorn. I want the video to show. And so that's just taken us a smidgen of time to get that ingested. We are adding whether or not you guys like it or not, we're adding family searches, I guess, or I shouldn't say whether or not you like it or not. I hope you guys like this, which is one of the things that we found, Zed, is people love to see what children are born from which parents and to search by parents. So in the coming week or two, for on Hawku, you'll be able to specify not only from a child, see the history of who the parents are and the children from any unicorn, but you'll also be able to search based on the attributes of the parents. So you can say, I want to find all the children of moon parents, or a combination of moon and star, and so forth. So I don't know if that's interesting to people, but we are doing it for Zed, so we figured we'd add it for crypto unicorns as well. The other thing we are adding is we will be focusing on 1155s as one of the big areas. Our hope is to have that done by the end of the year. We know that that is important, not just for crypto unicorns, but other games. We have one of the other things that we are launching for Zed that also crypto unicorns can benefit if they want to, is we are going to let people be able to bid in multiple currencies. So you can list in ETH, but bid in, say, RBW or Unim. If you want to, in the case of Zed, people are going to be allowed to bid in Zed token. So for each game, they'll have their own selection of what type of tokens they want to allow. And so that's kind of fun if people wanted that. And then finally, once Jousting announces, as you guys can see on site, we have win rates already. We are going to be, hopefully with LG's help, we'll be able to integrate in the Jousting data. So as you are jousting, that real-time data is in there, and you'll be able to search by win rate and actually see the jousting history for every single unicorn. Those are that probably is a good starting point for everybody. With that, I'll open the floor.
The button looks like a raised hand. You can queue up even while somebody's talking. Once we accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord. Click accept to begin speaking. We'll choose people so everyone has a chance to ask something. Once you are muted, feel free to ask your question. We also have questions on the guest AMA questions channel. Take note that we prioritize spoken questions over written ones. So if you have a written question and if you're not sure if it'll make the AMA, please press request to speak and we will ask it. Okay. Crowd is still warming up. Can we please get a written question ready?
All right, the first question we have is from Blackfield. When is Shadowcorn support?
We believe, so I am, if it doesn't come this next week, it should be in the week after, so very soon.
It's so exciting. And you're really pushing for those videos, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's one of the things I love about the Shadowcorns, besides the whole concept I think is awesome. But I think the videos are awesome, and so we want to do our best to get those videos in. Worst case scenario, we get it in with an image and then add the videos later, but we will be putting in the videos. We know that's important.
All right. Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, you can tell from my profile picture, I really love them. Okay, let's get another written question.
Okay, this is from Bahis. What's coming up next for the CU Hawku marketplace? What features are developed or bugs being fixed, etc.?
So I said this in the intro as well. Shadow corns, family searches, so you can actually and see the family of every unicorn is coming. Those things are coming very soon in the next week or two. We've 1155s will be having. We that's a big focus, but it is also a big project for us, not on a smart contract wise, but just application wise, because it's a 1155s are considered. We 1155s are not non-fungible. They are fungible. They're kind of like owning currency. And so it is the marketplace for that, and how you handle the UX for that is different. And so we want to take that carefully. So that we plan to have by the end of the year. Jousting data, as soon as LG gets us the data and jousting is live, we will put that in. And then I talked about multi-currency. I think those are some of the big things that we're putting in. We are still on a bug wise. We are still waiting for the ABI for Unicorn Land so we can have land auto updating. Right now, we're still kind of doing that in a manual process. And so we'd love to have that fixed. And if people have other bugs, please tag me and call me out. Somebody found a bug that we were missing some aesthetic, cosmetic, some of the cosmetic attributes. And so we'll be updating that today with the new attributes. But as you guys, one of the things you'll find from us is if people have problems, we try to be really good about resolving them pretty quickly.
All right, that's a pretty good explanation. Oh, I'm really excited for that next question. Witty?
Alright, sure. It's still from Bahis. How do you suggest we get more people to list on Haku? Is there maybe some kind of incentive that can be run so that we can dethrone OpenSea?
Well, I think it needs to be a combination of the community and for one thing, I would say this: people on the Crypto Unicorn homepage still only know, if you go to cryptounicorn.fun, they still only go to OpenSea. So that's a challenge, right? Because you in order to get people to buy, in order to list, you're listing because you want people to buy. Liquidity is the most important thing on listing. If you list and no one buys, then it's kind of useless to list. So we are talking with the LG team about getting Hawku to appear on that page. In terms of listings, the incentive that we are providing is we will put it on our homepage when we get to 300 listings. We are doing that intentionally because we want to make sure, if we're going to introduce this to our community, that we're getting actual real prices and not inflated illiquid prices. So by having up to 300, that's about half of the number that we saw on OpenSea. And we feel at that number, the pricing will match more of what OpenSea is. The worst case scenario for us would be to have people have our audience pay overinflated prices because there just wasn't enough liquidity. And so we're careful on that. People have brought up discounts. I am generally not a believer of those, and I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. One is you get people to list. You don't get people to list because they actually want to list. You get people to list either fake things to do that, or you train people, even people who might list normally, you train people that there's always a discount. And we unfortunately can't do that. And we don't want to have people jumping from discount to discount. We are putting in a lot of effort to get this real-time data, especially when you start adding things like family and jousting and these things. There's a lot of work that we're doing specifically for crypto unicorns. And we can't, there at some point there's funding that we need to support that. And so by just getting everything to a race to zero, what ends up happening is you just don't have the resources to support that. And so we'd rather focus, instead of on discounts, focusing on providing the best experience for people.
Yeah, I like that philosophy. Definitely. Value over price wars. We have Cookie VT who wants to come over and ask a question. Hey.
Hello, good morning, good evening to everyone. Just a question regarding, Hawku. I'm not sure if many have noticed this, that, OpenSea is flooded with bots, like buying bots. How can you assure us that these kinds of bots will be eliminated in Hawku? Because sometimes when you buy a specific land or a unicorn in OpenSea, even though that it's unlocked, it's showing some error that saying stating that the the price has been changed or something like that, even though you have enough Ethereum on your wallet.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there's a couple things. I'm going to separate those two things out. One thing we have found, because there's two issues I think happening right now on OpenSea. One is the token URI metadata that OpenSea is using, which is like the normal metadata. That is not always accurate on crypto unicorns, and I think a lot of you guys have seen that when you hit refresh, and the data never changes. On our end, we are only using the token URI for the image. We are using actual blockchain calls to get the actual real-time data for locked and stats and so forth. And breeding points. So that data should be all up to date. And in particular, what you will see on OpenSea is a lot of times things will be listed as unlocked, but they'll really be locked. In our case, we do multiple checks. First, we auto update whether it's locked, and then before you actually buy, before you can list, we check if it's locked, and if it goes through incorrectly, we will cancel that listing if there's an error. So in the worst case scenario, one person experiences that as opposed to 100. One thing we're seeing on OpenSea is if someone leaves something locked or an error, everyone just tries to buy the same thing and everyone has that same experience. I think just by unlisting it the first time you have that error reduces a ton of the frustration, and most people won't even ever see it. The second question, sorry, did you have?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. The second thing is about bots. So OpenSea from the very beginning had been very open to sniping bots and flipping bots and so forth, and they have APIs they open up to botters to let them actually make listings using bots and so forth. We've taken a different approach. Our belief is for games, there is some need to have people do bid bots and bidding and so forth, and we can talk about that later, because that does add liquidity if somebody wants to do the work and get somebody who's not listing. But all these sniping bots, I come from Zed. I originally was building a bot that was doing some sniping stuff, and I wasn't flipping it. I was buying it because I wanted to get like really good horses. And what I found is there were a lot of flipping bots that actually no one played the game. They just flipped the bots. And I felt like that took away value from the game. So the person who flips and is not intending to hold, but they're flipping, they're intending to buy low using a bot and then flip it higher. I believe that's extracting from the game value, and I'd much rather have people in the game see a really good value and be able to get it and use it for the game. And so we have decided to take more of a strategic stance to not really do a lot to help bots. Because for us, it's not as much about liquidity. It's about making it a really fun experience for people and not having a small share of people who know how to script take away all the alpha, all the value from the game and from the marketplace. I don't know if that helps you, but we do not. So the short answer is we do not provide the APIs to bots.
That's
we make it
going
harder
to
for
be
them.
really, really great because sometimes I'm not sure if I'm the only one who've noticed it, but before, back in the days when I first bought my land and my unicorn, it took me like 3 days to actually buy a land. Like every I see a lot of things are listed on OpenSea, but the thing is, it took me 3 days to actually get the land, and that land was the same land and same name that I was trying to buy. So
Yeah,
I don't. That's the problem about OpenSea. It doesn't it doesn't focus only on the lands, but it also focuses on the unicorns and other items as well, like loot boxes and everything. So another thing is, I've noticed, when I check Hawku, there is I find it like quite intriguing that you actually input the important stuff for, like, for example, the unicorn. So what is, the breeding points and then the stats. But right now I think the stats is not much important because the jousting hasn't been released yet. But I hope, if we're going to use it in the future, it can make, the buying much more faster and feasible, because that's the only way of helping the community as well. But thank you.
thank you very much. I hope so too. I mean, that's been our focus, is to make it really easy for people to research buy and sell based on the real-time data. And those stats you see, those are all just really easily configurable. If the community decides that there are other stats that were more important than those three, we can really easily change that. So we just kind of we couldn't even think of a third one right now because there isn't a ton of because jousting hasn't started, but we wanted to put that third one in just so people could get a vision of what it would look like when you started jousting or racing and so forth.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I'll be now leaving the stage.
All right. Thank you so much for coming over and asking your questions. We appreciate it. Okay, Viddy, let's have another written question.
Okay, it's still from Bahis. How far off are we with seeing buildings detailed and searchable?
So we are waiting a little. There's some data that we have from the land that we have fully visible on the land data. There's a lot of data like bonuses that I don't think is in the metadata right now. So we are kind of waiting for LG to kind of give us a full ABI so we can actually research what metadata we can do, and then we should be able to add more to lands as we go on. I think some of it is actually off chain is the challenge, and so we're going to try to figure out a way to get that. Our system works both with on chain and off chain data, so we should be able to, once we have access to that data, add a lot more data for lands.
All right, that sounds exciting. Next up, let's have another written question.
Sure. I have a theory that you should have received some alpha for jousting since we want the Hawku marketplace to be on top of things for the next major game loop release. Am I right? And what can you share?
We are as blind to it as you guys are. We just know that jousting's coming, so we put the numbers there. But we know just as much as you do. I'm reading about it from the same exact sources as you.
That's the right question and the right answer. Yes, nobody knows nothing. And I'm not suspicious at all. Okay, let's go to the next question.
It's from Farmer Ponzi Donner. Do you have plans on marketing Hawku? I feel the biggest hurdle is getting known by the big crowds other than users of the supported games.
Our belief is when you go through and you're buying an NFT for the first time, a lot of people go into the Discords, they go into the community to learn how to buy them. Buying games and utility NFTs is very different than, say, buying a piece of art or an avatar where you're just kind of looking at the floor price, you're looking at whether you like it, and you can make your decision without doing any research. So what we have found is that when new people who have never played a game or never played one of these games comes on, there's no context. They don't know what to do, and they end up buying a floor price because they're used to buying the PFP, and they end up having it was called the badge of honor in Zed, where people would just buy donkey horses and they would race them and they'd lose all the time. And you had to kind of get past that initiation, and if you were okay with it, you could play more. But most people got turned off. I actually think getting people to join crypto unicorns without the context of how to play, of what it is, it ends up being a bad experience because you end up telling them the wrong experience. So what we have found is that if we just did blanket marketing and say, come to our marketplace and buy all these NFTs, you'll get a lot of people who will buy the NFTs, have a poor experience, and leave. And then say, well, God, crypto unicorns wasn't that fun. What we have found instead is, if we're involved in the community and we're building this for the community, for the people who play, and we empower the community, and we have an affiliate program, I don't know if you know this, for content creators, that they can actually link to us and get a portion of the marketplace fee. If we empower that ecosystem and people learn how to play through Twitch streams and learn how to play through Discord, learn how to play through the website, you get a much better experience of onboarding people. Because if having someone come on and buy a floor-priced unicorn or land and then just realizing it wasn't worth as much as they thought it was, that you don't want to have a first negative experience. That's a great way to get someone to not stay in the game. So we have found that because of that, our marketing and our distribution revolves around getting the game, getting people in the game really excited and using it. And then once that happens, you have new people who come on through the Twitch streams and through Medium articles and through Twitter and so forth, through reading about it, and then they are able to interact and use it. One area that we do with marketing for games that we've put live, and you can look on our blogs, is we do have buying guides where we kind of go in detail for each of these games of how to make your first purchase and how to buy. And so we do that in conjunction with people in the game to make sure that what we're doing is, is accurate, and we get a lot of feedback before we post that. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just, we found this is how you market this is very different than how you shill/market a new 10,000 PFP, where all that matters is that you're part of that, and whether or not you have laser eyes.
Whether or not you have laser eyes. Are 10,000 PFP still a thing? I don't even know anymore. Okay, well, that was a very in-depth answer. By the way, we only have one written question left. Unicorn fam, if you want to get any questions in, please ask. Oh, we have Blackfield. Okay, I'm inviting you to speak. Please come over to the stage.
Hi.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a written question, but it's the second one, so I wouldn't be picked. That's why I raised my hand. My question is, can you add floor offers? For example, if I want to buy any rainbow baby or adult, no matter the stats, for, I don't know, 0.02 each, is that something you're planning? Maybe even with specific queries like stats, breeding points, etc.?
Yeah, so you're asking for like per attribute floor price buying, I'll buy at this price for this attribute. We don't have that in place. We could, with the newer version of we use the 0x protocol behind the scenes. I'm sure you guys saw, OpenSea just changed theirs to Seaport, which is kind of very similar to the 0x protocol. The newer version of 0x protocol allows us to do that. We're waiting and seeing a little bit before doing that, just because, as I said, our focus is less about buying on cosmetic attributes or just single attributes, and more on people. What we found is that people really like buying based on the real-time data. That becomes a much harder thing on-chain to do, because a lot of that real-time data is off-chain. And so you can't have a guarantee for off-chain data on-chain without some type of oracles, and then that gets really messy. And so right now, we do not have that capability for you to just buy any type of specific attribute, cosmetic attribute. We're going to wait and see and engage how much demand there actually is for that in games. Again, for avatars, if you're buying laser eyes, a lot of demand for that. If you're buying something based on real-time data and other stats and so forth, and it's based on the stats, it's a little different, is what we've seen. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, get that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for coming up to the stage, Blackfield. We appreciate you. Oh, we have a couple of questions. Okay, let's have another written question.
Yeah, this one's from Kaiser. Do you have any media kits for streamers to share about Hawku, or at least the portion for crypto unicorns?
Can you repeat that? You cut out just when you were asking the key word.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, it's from Kaiser. Do you have any media kits for streamers to show about Hawku, or at least the portion for crypto unicorns? If, say, a
So
streamer or
yeah.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, we're happy if you guys feel free to contact support at Hawku if you want information about stats and so forth. We don't have a formal media kit. But we do have stats and other information. What we have found is that people just use the site, and particularly when they go through and just talk about the different aspects of the site. It should be the site itself has driven a lot of the media content. But we're happy if someone needs information, some stat information. We're happy to kind of share that as well.
All right. So we have Shikam typing another question. Oh, there we go.
I'm gonna ask it.
Yeah.
It's from Shikam.
Yeah.
Can we add featured page in the own tab? It helps me group some of my corns, and I sometimes put some corns there that I might want to list in the future.
I'm not sure I understand that. So featured? Oh, you want to have some that are starred. So you want to be able to mark some of your corns as you'll be able to tag some of your unicorns. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like that.
Okay, so you actually can right now you can see for every single unicorn there's a bookmark little icon on the screen. You can actually create your own set of lists. So we have the ability for you to create private lists and public lists. And so when you click on that, you can see that it will be marked as either watched or want to buy. Those are the two default lists that we give everybody. if you select that word, watched, or want to buy, you'll be able to add lists. And so you can create as many lists as you want, and then you can filter in the filters based on that list. So that we've found that a lot of people use that for a lot of different reasons. And the fact that we can allow custom lists has been really useful for people. Hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, we do allow you to have your basically semi-infinite amount of custom lists.
Yo, that's exciting. I'm sure Shikam would love to hear that. Yeah, I think they're listening in right now. So I think they're very happy about that. Okay, so that's the last that we have for the written questions. We're going to stick around for maybe 5 more minutes to see if anybody else wants to ask a couple of questions. So while we're waiting, can you tell us more about yourself and how you came to? Because I just remember one day you just popped into chat and you were like, "Hey, I heard that you guys are looking for a market. How did you hear about crypto unicorns?"
Yeah, so I mean, my background is I've been in doing entrepreneurship and starting companies for 20 plus years. You guys can look me up. I went to one of those stodgy Ivy Leagues. Um, I love product. So for my personal thing, I love building things. It's just so fun to build products that make people jump up and for joy. That's my catnip. In terms of crypto, I got into crypto in 2017 with CryptoKitties, so I feel like there's a little bit of a connection. But for unicorns, I've looked around a lot on kind of interesting games that match what we're doing. We were kind of somebody pinged me and said, "Hey, Crypto Unicorns is looking for a marketplace." And, I jumped in right in the middle of, I guess, a big discussion and proposal going on. But from my perspective, the reason we were pushing on it is it was just it's such in our sweet spot of what we're doing, because we really are focused on games based on real-time data, and we have all the breeding stuff and family stuff in place. So it just felt like a really good fit and something that we could do very quickly and provide an experience that we think people would appreciate more than the other current marketplaces out there.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you jumped in and did. By the way, thank you to the anonymous person who pinged Crypto G. Crypto, we owe you. We owe you.
I have to say, this is the first time. Like normally, we have the games either calling us to say please add us, or we'll go and talk to the games, and then they'll say please add us, and we're adding a whole bunch more coming month. But this is the first time we actually was try asking the community directly, and so there's a little bit of an experiment here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did that because we're very community driven. I'm really happy to participation in our DAO. And yeah, it seems like the community loves you.
Awesome, appreciate it. Well, it's been a lot of fun to see, and the unicorns are cute, and so we're excited to hopefully continue to work with you guys and give you guys something that gets you really excited, gives you a marketplace that you're excited about.
Yeah. Oh, we have a couple more questions, Viddy.
Yeah, a new one came in from Kaiser. Besides the one you've mentioned from the beginning, what other features are you thinking of working on? Also, thank you for being such an amazing marketplace for us.
I appreciate the sentiment. There's always more I like to surprise people with. So you will see some. It's fun to announce some and then have some surprises. The big ones I kind of announced to you. But I will say this: we are always working with the community. So if people have suggestions, man, it would be amazing if you guys had this. It would be a lifesaver. It would change things. Tag me. Bryce is our community manager. He's also sometimes in here. I think he's on this call or was earlier. We are happy to kind of we always listen, and we try to figure out what problem you're trying to solve and try to find a really good way to solve it. So we're constantly looking for ways to keep on improving the marketplace. And one of the things you get from this type of marketplace is when we add things for other marketplaces, we do it in a way that's generic so that we can add it across the board. So family viewing families, for example, is something we put a lot of effort to get that so that it's generic, so that it would work for Zed and Crypto Unicorns with the same code base. And that means that it allows us to iterate a lot faster across all the games. And we think that's a really good thing. So I don't know if that answers your question because I talked in vagueness. But a lot of the main, we did announce a lot of big features. There's a couple little things that you'll see, improvements to the UI that we like. There are other things. The other one that we are looking into and building out a microsite capability, and so we can talk to you guys about that later on as well. A microsite you guys may know as white labeling. We think of it as like very close to white labeling, which would be a site, the ability for people from crypto unicorns to have on the app site a skinned version of Hawku, somewhat skinned, where the fonts and the colors match, but the framework is still very Hawku, and where it's not multi-game, but is linked to our database, so people in Hawku can see the same listings, but people once you get to that crypto unicorn site, maybe it's isolated. So that's something that we are also developing right now. There, you got alpha out of me. That was really good.
Kaiser says thank you and then sent a big heart. A question though from Blackfield: what animal do we hear in the background? Please prioritize.
No.
Yeah, well, we have 2 dogs, but you are hearing construction because they're finishing up part of a remodel, part of one of our bathrooms. So I apologize.
Oh, it's completely fine. I told the community it's the sound of the whale's approval for your market. Let's have oh, we do have one more
Yeah.
question. I don't think it got asked.
We have
One
one
more?
from Bahis, yeah. It's, are we able to get genes displayed?
What displayed?
Genes?
So we have looked. I have looked at genes personally on this. We can get you the raw. So right now, genes are stored technically in something called a bit array, which is just a string of zeros and ones. We are looking into how to better decrypt that. But right now, that would be just a huge string of zeros and ones. If people want that, we could certainly, I believe, put that in and add that, because we do have that data. But I don't know if it's useful right now. Without having a little more context of what the genes are. I think once we have some more context, or ideally if they have a blockchain API call that we can call, that would be where we can pass the DNA and get the genes back. That would be awesome, and then we could just easily add the genes.
So I think what they're trying to say about James is that the parts for minor and normal parts beside just the major parts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I believe that isn't. We don't have the data. So I'm not sure on chain. There's an on chain ABI call that tells us what data corresponds to the coded gene DNA of the unicorn. So does that? So there is no thing in the blockchain where we can pass across the DNA code for the unicorn and get back this major or minor. If I'm wrong, please tell me, because that would be awesome. I think instead somebody has deciphered it, and then also LG just has it privately, and I don't know if they're sharing that or what the status is on that. So right now we don't have the method to know from the ones and zeros that are stored on the blockchain what those mean in terms of major and minor gene. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that does. Thank you. I'm pretty sure a couple of community members have decoded that. If y'all want to approach Cryptog, you definitely can.
Yeah, if you want to approach us, let us know, and that would be definitely something we can look into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see. We have another question from Jackie Ace.
Okay, it's, will you guys work on something that improves the onboarding experience into CU? What I could imagine is like a guided purchasing process, where first a unicorn is suggested for purchase, then a land, then some RBW and Unim recommendation.
So we handle it a little differently, because we find that every unicorn, and that does. I love your idea, first of all, of onboarding. It's a big challenge for a lot of games, and the way we handle it is by doing a buying guide. So you can look. We have written buying guides for both the Red Village and Zed, and they're both on our blog.hawku.com. We go really in depth as to what every feature is, what type of person, why you'd want to buy, and what you should be doing if you want to buy. And then we provide example searches for those different things. And so we have found, at least for Zed and the Red Village, it's been a great starting point for people who want to get going. And once we get, we grow and become that, get those listings and become the marketplace for CU, we're happy to add that for CU. We think that it's a great way to get people who are just new to the game to kind of understand what to look for when they're buying their first unicorns and lands.
So according to Jackie Ace, he finds that buying guides are pretty hidden. He was imagining more of a UI guided step-by-step process. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, so the UI, here's what we found for most games, there is no canonical unicorn or land. And if there is, what we find is the marketplace realizes that, and then they put the price up to make it like, because they recognize, hey, our land, this type of land is going to be in the buying guide. So those things become way overpriced. It's really challenging as a marketplace to kind of A, dictate what people should be buying specifically. And then B, if you do, everyone else in the marketplace knows and they just overinflate the price and you have these people kind of being rubes. So what we try to do instead is have more of an explanation of like, here's how you should think about it and you make your own decisions and here's some example searches, but do not just follow these or have multiple example searches. I totally agree that the buying guides are hidden away. And so one thing we will probably be doing in the coming weeks is adding the capability, at least on the page, to have some more informational links out, maybe one to the buying guide, one to some other places on the actual banner, so that people can go and know where to buy. The UI of how to buy, I think a lot of that is really game specific again, and I'm not sure, if everyone should be buying, as I said, a moon land. You'll end up with distorting the market. And if you just say buy one of these lands, and you're kind of like, here, buy any land. And so I'm open to having a conversation with people afterwards and kind of if someone has a better vision of how to do this. But we've seen that when we get really specific on the searches, the listings go away really quickly. And then the listings that appear, people know, and they overprice it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty solid. I think Jackie is typing something else, but before we receive that, let's get Blackfield on the stage. He wants to ask another question. Come over, please. The whales are saying hi.
Hi.
Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. Okay, go for it.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Aaron mentioned something like that for a different marketplace we wanted to create a couple of weeks or months ago. Bundles, for example, starter bundles where you can buy one land and maybe one or two unicorns. Are you planning on adding those kind of bundles as well? Or do you have that functionality already in a different marketplace?
So we do not have that. In full candor, we do not have that we do not have the functionality yet in place. The reason we haven't is, again, we found that if we're really assuming every NFT is unique, you end up with this really weird state where it becomes really illiquid because now you're combining not just one NFT, but a bundle of unique NFTs. And it becomes really confusing for people to know how to shop for that, how to search for that, how to buy for that. The new user concept of a starter bundle is super interesting. That's the first time I've heard it. And so I could see a use case there. I think it could just as easily be handled by buy a unicorn that fits this model, and now buy a land that fits this model. Buy a land with matching traits as the unicorn, or matching class or whatever. So I think there are other ways around it. I like the concept. I just get worried when you start getting really unique in your unicorns and lands. By bundling, you're kind of making it even harder and more opaque as to what it is. And usually people will then just end up bundling their two worst things together as a bundle to try to make it better in aggregate.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for asking that question. So here's Jackie Ace's follow-up. He wouldn't be too specific about it or gameplay related. He just wishes it could be broken down to visuals, like a basic form, like, hey, the usual player starts off with two unicorns that match their land, basically getting the message across what the community agreed basic steps are to get started. Like nothing super specific.
Okay, totally get that. Thank you for sharing that. And I this may be better handled offline with more conversations. What we have found is if everyone in the community agrees that the way to start is two lands and a unicorn, or two unicorns and a land, and that's like 100% the only way to go, then we can talk about something. What we have, if people have different opinions, like somebody else thinks you should 3 unicorns in 2 land, or 4 unicorns in 2 land, or 1 unicorn, 1 land, then we start forming an opinion for the community, which I really don't. I prefer that we don't do that. The way we have handled that with other games is enable the other content to be like, okay, here's a getting started, video or blog or step by step for people, and then they link to Hawku, and those people would they would actually get a portion of the sales, but it would let all the different what we have found then is, and this happens with Zed, instead of us saying this is the type of horse you should buy for Zed, there's probably 30 places where people can look and get different opinions. And having that diversity of opinion actually is really, really good for the game, because then people can have their own strategies. You're not funneling everyone to the same exact strategy. Different people have different strategies, different ways of doing it. It ends up building out that ecosystem and making it much stronger. So, I mean, one thing I would definitely encourage crypto unicorns is not deciding on a canonical one way of doing things, but letting an ecosystem and community of tools providers emerge, each with their own opinions, and letting them all thrive, because it brings more people to the game. People get different perspectives. You end up actually finding out better ways to do it than the way everyone thinks is right. And we found that for Zed, the reason Zed took off in my mind is because all these tools providers came around coming up with different hypotheses and ways of how to optimize racing, how to optimize breeding. And that ecosystem is currently thriving right now. And I strongly encourage that's something that Crypto Unicorn encourages, because it is one of the things that got more people to come to Zed, because you spread out that information. Instead of having just one site, you have dozens of sites, dozens of Twitch streams, and you get a lot more people coming to the site that way. So this goes back, well, I'll just say this goes back to when you guys say, how did you get it? One way is to build out a whole bunch of these tool sites that help, where people are talking about it, where people are Twitch streaming. One site alone generally doesn't have enough marketplace stuff. You can get a pop for like a day or two by having a site do it. But if you have an ecosystem of 20, 30 people talking about it on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube, that's how you start building and getting that ecosystem, getting many more people coming on.
Okay, that's pretty solid. Okay, so here's another follow-up from Jackie Ace. How about people creating their own bundles?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we currently don't support bundles. We bundles when OpenSea was doing it. Bundles are really hard to search for. So it's just really hard, particularly when you're combining multiple of different things. It becomes really hard to know what attributes to search for. And so when you don't have searching, you really don't have any visibility of that bundle. And so bundles can often lag, and then you end up with lowballers coming in and saying, well, no one's buying your bundle, I'll give you this lowball value. You also have people who, as I said before, will try to bundle their worst two properties together to hope that the bundle's better. So we've been cautious on bundles. I think in theory, it sounds really cool. I think in reality, we just have not seen a ton of it taking off, particularly when you're trying to bundle different things together.
Yeah, that sounds really solid too. I think Jackie Ace has a lot of deep nuanced thoughts, and this will go over better if you guys get it down in the DMs and figure things out that way, because we might be missing a bit.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, very possible that I am missing the whole point of what he's asking right now. So I apologize if I am, and I'm more than happy to talk on DM.
Okay, so Jackie Ace, if you feel like continuing the conversation, I think Cryptog would love it if you reach out. Yeah, and they also have a group for further discussion. Okay, let's have Blackfield over. Hey, third time's the charm.
Oh, wow. So that's my third question. I'm still allowed to ask a question. That's cool. What do you think about affiliate links? Maybe that's a way to get people to make marketing for the marketplace as well.
Love the idea of Blackfield, and we have them. So if you are this is a good time to share this, that if you are a content provider or a tool site and you want to link to the Hawku marketplace, and we have affiliate links for tools that are publicly available. There are a couple little restrictions obviously in there, but you can get up to 1% of the you can get up to a 1% of the fee, a 1% of the total purchase. So I think it's divided as 0.5 if you encourage a listing, 0.5% if you encourage a bid, and the transaction happens with that side. So we do have a affiliate program automatically in place. It does automatically work upon sale. And so again, contact me if you are interested in it. You do need to get both our approval and LG's approval. But we, in the case of Zed, I believe there are between 6 and 10 different affiliates right now that are already, basically every big tool site on Zed uses the Hawku affiliate as well. And so it's a good way if you are building tools and content and Twitch to help try to monetize that. We're super
All right,
supportive.
sounds really cool. Thanks.
All right. I'm not sure. Okay, so I heard. I'm trying to remember what I heard. Okay, so we already have people working on getting an affiliate link from Hawku. Is that right?
I have one person who contacted me and then they disappeared. So again, we're happy to do that once we, now that yeah. So please, if you guys have that, feel free to contact me, and we've got a form you can fill out and go from there.
Don't worry, it'll come back. Okay, I have it on a good authority. Okay, let's see. Do we have other questions?
I should say, can I just briefly say that the reason we do that is because we really do believe, I've said this again, that the community of tools communities is really what makes a game successful. And so we want to help encourage that. That is entirely, I came from I started Hawku as a community tool. So it's really also going back to our roots. And what we found is if you don't provide ways to help them monetize, they go away. And so we want to help encourage the growth of those tools because it really makes the game. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
definitely does. Yeah, it's no problems. Okay, we have 404. So I saw you raising your hand. Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, sure. How many daily active users do you have currently across the site?
So on our, I have to go check. We have above 10,000 or close to 10,000. I forgot if it's above 10,000 now. So what we have found is we have about 3 million monthly page views. So what we have is a smaller group of people, which is about 10,000 or in that range, who are using it all the time. The average time on site that we have seen most recently is over 30 minutes per day. So we have a lot of people, they open a lot of pages and they use it a lot.
Awesome. And then back to marketing. Are you taking paid ads? Like, so if Laguna wanted to say, hey, we wanted to put something on your home screen that drives more users there, would you take paid ads for that, or I don't know if you guys talked about that yet or not?
No, we're not. We're going to stay away from paid ads. We find that is not we don't love that as a gamer player experience level. In terms of marketing with games, what we have done in the past is, in conjunction with appearing on their website. So for almost all of our websites, we are listed as the preferred marketplace. And in conjunction with being listed as the preferred marketplace, we'll tweet out among our Twitter followers. We will do the buying guides. We will do, we may do raffles or sweepstakes of a free token or two to kind of drive up interest and awareness. And we'll constantly be tweeting about that group as well. So we try to do it more through Twitter than shoving it onto the website. The other thing that you should know is if you go to the front page of Hawku, you can see there's 3 games. There'll be many more coming in September. We are going to divide that up into a combination of featured and active, most active, most trending, and so forth. And so depending on the stats of the marketplace, you may move up or down. And just having your a crypto unicorn blurb there will do a lot to drive awareness for all the people coming.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, 404. Okay, so that seems to be it. Do we have any other questions? No more raised hands? All right. Wow, it's been an hour. That's amazing. Do you have any closing remarks?
No, it's just I mean, I don't have anything closing to say. It's been fun working with you guys, and hopefully we continue to build something that makes you guys really excited to use it. That's our belief is there should be a marketplace that people in the community love. It shouldn't be a dread. I dread to use the marketplace. It should be something that really adds enough value that people really, really love it. And so that's what we strive to do. We'll never, I'll say we can't solve every problem. There's going to be things that we are trying to do this in a way that what we build for one game, we can expand to all the games because we find that's the only way we can scale. But we try to do our best to kind of solve those core needs and get you guys things that make you really excited. So if you guys have, the other thing I'll just say is if you have any questions, suggestions for things that are really needed, please let me know. If it's something that's like, this would be nice, you can tell me that, just preface it with this will be nice. But we're always looking for community input to figure out how to better improve the product.
All right, agreed and seconded. We appreciate what you're doing with crypto unicorns, and so far the community seems to be loving the marketplace experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you for having me.
That concludes our Marketplace AMA with Cryptog of Hawku. We hope it was helpful and that you were able to ask all of your questions. If you have any further questions, suggestions, and/or reactions in the future, you can tag Cryptog, that's at CRYTOG on general chat, and reach out to them there. We'll see you next week for the weekly town hall number 14. We'll post a recording of this AMA on our socials if you would like to give it a re-listen. Don't forget to share this with your friends and fellow unicorn fam who couldn't make it. Again, this has been Sparkly Unicorn with co-host Witty Unicorn.
Woo-woo.
Good morning, good night, and see you in-game, Unicorn fam. So, Cryptog, the audience is expecting something. We're expecting...
What are they expecting?
Your
every AM, we
Uh-huh.
say ooh.
Oh, woo! Sorry.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, I'm loving it. Ooh.
I apologize. Okay, sorry.
No, it's good. That was a pretty good move. Would you agree, Unicorn fam? Yeah, they
10,
agree.
10,
I'm speaking
10
for
over
them.
10.
10 out of 10. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. And have a good day/night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.